How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic.
Maybe just lead us off with the challenge of the Bills defense.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a good unit in every way. Challenge you with what they do schematically. Good players at all three levels, and I think the most impressive thing is how connected they are. This staff is obviously, led by Sean and Bobby, and they've been together for a while. I know there's some people that are a little new to it, but their program has been up and running for a while now, and you can just tell the continuity, the consistency, the communication. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They really force you to execute over and over and over again to drive the ball and score. Played really tough in situational football, and obviously we're going to be dealing with the elements, of the crowd noise and those types of things. So, ton of respect for Sean and this whole entire group. They play the way that you would want a defense to play, connected, hard, physical, challenge you with the scheme, and certainly it'll be a big challenge on the road with the noise too. So looking forward to it. Our preparation's obviously well underway. Our guys are getting really familiar with who they're going to compete against, but we know it's going to be a big challenge.
Josh, I know you guys are a game plan offense, and game script plays a big role in this, but your play action rate has gone up every single week. You almost got to 40% last weekend. Is that something you could say is kind of a pillar of how you want this offense to play now that you got 4 games of film?
I think if you have control of the game, certainly that allows for more of that. And so the more control you have, the more you'd like to play like that, So again, when we take care of the ball and you stay ahead on the down and distance, we've cut back on the penalties since Miami, which has been a positive for us to avoid longer yardage situations and having to try to come from behind on the sticks. I think you open up a lot more of what you can do on first and second down. When you fall behind and it's 1st and 20 or 2nd and 17 and you're trying to chop away and get it back to 3rd and manageable, sometimes those things are certainly not as successful. So hopefully we can continue to play the way we've played without the penalties and take care of the football. And, when you have control, I think, basically your whole plan is available to you. So makes it nice and simple in that regard.
What does it mean to have a guy like Hunter Henry on the roster, a guy who's been so consistent and so dependable, so durable over the course of his career?
Those guys are, irreplaceable, because they not only do they show up every day with a great mindset and attitude and show everybody else how to go about, working at this level, but, he's competitive, he's intelligent, he's a great teammate, he's a really, really good leader. He's a great influence on everybody, starting with the guys in the locker room. So very dependable. You can trust that he's going to know what to do and do it the way you ask him to do it. And he does a lot of things well. He's a really good football player, and I feel fortunate to have another opportunity to coach him.
Josh, how has Steph Diggs' versatility to move around the formation helped you to best utilize him, use him?
It's probably like a 9 out of 10 in terms of understanding the system and the scheme. You probably got a little bit of juice left to squeeze out of the orange. It's obviously it's important, and I think he was being modest when he said that. I heard that little comment. So, we ask our guys at the beginning of each year to learn the system kind of as a whole. Don't just learn it from one position, because certainly through injuries and the duration of the season, multiple different people will need to play different spots based on who's available and how we would like to play and so on and so forth. So we've always kind of said the more you can do in terms of knowing this spot, and this spot, the more it helps you and it helps the team. So he's worked really hard at that. Obviously, he wasn't able to practice in the spring in terms of out there full speed and all the rest of that stuff. But once he was cleared in training camp, every day, every rep that he's taken has been valuable to him. And he deserves all the credit for that, to learn multiple spots and be able to line up and play. And again, he's not the only one. Remember, every time he moves, so does somebody else. So I think our group as a whole has gotten to the point where their versatility allows us to move everybody. You know, Mac moves, Pop moves, Kayshawn moves, certainly Steph moves. You know, so Kyle Williams has learned them all. So the more they know, the better it is for them and our offense.
Ratings aside,
Mhm.
do you like how he's progressed in the offense thus far?
Yes. And I won't put a number on it. I know I said that, but yes.
On Kayshawn, hasn't been targeted obviously as much since week one. Is there anything that he could do to be targeted?
Kayshawn, you know, he does his job, you know, and I think it's unique. You know, I think he was our leading receiver in week 1, and Ramondre in week 2, and Hunter in week 3, and Diggs in week 4, and I think that's a sign of the quarterback trying to, let's throw it to who's supposed to get it based on the coverage and how they're playing us and what the right matchup is. And I know these guys all do their job, and every skill player wants to have the ball as much as they can to help the team, first of all, and then certainly produce themselves, which is great. They should want that. But he's had a great attitude. He's doing everything that we're asking him to do. Sometimes coverage dictates where it goes, where it doesn't go. But I have no doubt that opportunities will find all those guys.
Josh, I know there are a lot of factors here again, and I've asked you about this before, and continuity is a big piece. When McDermott was hired in 17, even Tom had more picks than touchdowns against this defense, and that's continued even after you left. What could change Sunday so that staff finally flips?
You know, it's obviously like I said, they deserve the credit for that. You know, and it's been a really tough preparation every time we've competed against them, and you know, I think that's just about our execution. You know, understanding what they do, how they play, and trying to protect the ball. I mean, they've got quite a streak going on right now in that stadium of playing games and forcing turnovers. So. That'll be a big key for us, obviously. You know, protecting the ball always is important, and certainly in a division game on the road on Sunday night, it'll be critical.
What's that conversation like? Drake doesn't turn the ball over last week. I think it was the first throw of the game. Ryan, receiver, nearly got picked. Do you have a conversation in the moment? Is that something you wait for afterwards? Like, just say, calm down. What's the interplay there?
Well, I think, you know, there's a lot of things that could be discussed after any play. I mean, honestly, the result of every play is a product of 11 guys doing the right thing. Certainly the quarterback gets the most attention when he doesn't necessarily do the right thing. So we talk about the result of each play, you know, and go back to the process. What was it? What did we read it right? You know, fundamentals, mechanics, transfer in the pocket, where were our eyes? Did they, false rotate? Whatever it is. So we try to address it, as soon as we can. But look, we can't make one play bigger than all the rest of them, So I'm just going to try to stick to the process of coaching each play individually and trying to get him to improve. I think he's made a lot of improvement, each week. We've been around him since he came back in April, and I would expect that he continues to do that because of the way he works at it, So address that play no different than the good plays, And some of the good plays we didn't do the right thing either, but we kind of got away with something. But just try to teach and learn off of each one.
Any more questions?
Josh, if anything, what surprised you about Drake May through 4 weeks?
Oh man, not much, honestly. I think I said back in the spring how excited I was to have an opportunity to work with him because of the type of character and human being that he had already presented himself to me to be. And I think it's great to watch a young player work the way he works and digest information, good or bad, and then try to make progress from it. And I think any good player that I've ever been around has followed that simple blueprint of taking each day for what it is, not making more of it or less of it than the next one. And he sticks to that plan. Mistakes don't get him down, doesn't get too high when he makes a great play, which I think is a great mindset for a young player to have too. So there's not a whole lot, like I said, that surprises me with the kid. I'm just excited to continue to watch his development.
When it comes to disguise coverages, obviously so big with this Bills secondary. Specifically, what is it about looks that maybe start out as like single high man and then become cover two? What makes those so challenging? What are the keys to being able to exploit those?
Yeah, I think, they do a really good job. They're all connected, like I said at the very, very beginning. They're very connected defensively. So, some teams, they disguise, but somebody lies, and you can find them. This team is very coordinated, and so, when they show something, they're all showing it. And they might show you what they want you to think it is, and then they try to do the best they can to, change that once the ball is snapped. So we're going to have to be very disciplined once the ball is snapped to make sure that we confirm whatever we thought it was or confirm that it changed, and there's going to be a number of snaps on Sunday night where whatever we looked at before the ball was in Drake's hands is going to change once we have it. So going to take a lot of discipline from our group, and it'll be a fun part of the chess match on Sunday night.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.